Hello students, today we are going to learn the last and the important method to find the inverse Laplace transform, that is the use of convolution theorem. This method is very important as far as the university exam is concerned. There will be surely one example based on this theorem which will be asked for 4 marks. First we will see what is convolution. Definition of convolution: if f1 of t and f2 of t are two functions, then the integration from 0 to t f1 of u into f2 of t minus u du is called the convolution of f1 of t and f2 of t and is denoted by f1 of t star f2 of t. This is the convolution of f1 of t and f2 of t. So f1 of t star f2 of t, or we can say convolution of f1 of t and f2 of t equal to integration from 0 to t f1 of u into f2 of t minus u du. So convolution of two functions of t is nothing but a definite integration within the limits 0 and t with respect to u. So from this we can write, let L of f1 of t is equal to f1 bar of s and L of f2 of t equal to f2 bar of s. Then inverse Laplace transform, that is L inverse of f1 bar of s star f2 bar of s is equal to integration from 0 to t f1 of u into f2 of t minus u, and this integration is performed with respect to u. So this is the convolution theorem for inverse Laplace transform. Now we will see the procedure to apply convolution theorem. First write the given function of s as product of two functions of s such that their inverse Laplace transform can be easily obtained. These two functions we may call them as f1 bar of s and f2 bar of s. Now you have to select f1 bar of s and f2 bar of s out of these two parts. So it is better to select f2 bar of s simple than f1 bar of s. You will understand this step while solving the example. So second step is very simple. Just find the inverse LT of f1 bar of s. Call the function as f1 of u. Remember, here we are using the variable u instead of variable t, as after applying convolution theorem we have to put the limits as 0 and t. So avoid any confusion, we are writing here f1 of u instead of f1 of t. Then find L inverse of f2 bar of s. Its result is f2 of u. All these three steps are allotted only 1 mark out of the 4 marks. But these steps are very important, as if you mistake while finding the inverse LT of f1 bar of s and f2 bar of s, then surely your answer will be wrong. So be careful while writing f bar of s as a product of f1 bar and f2 bar, and then also while finding their inverse Laplace transform. And the fourth step is just to apply convolution theorem. Find L inverse of the original function, which is nothing but L inverse of f1 bar of s convolution with f2 bar of s, which is integration from 0 to t f1 of u f2 of t minus u du. Now we will see the solution of examples where we are going to apply convolution theorem to find inverse LT. But for this process we require some results of integration. First one, integration of e raised to ax with respect to x is e raised to ax upon a plus c, as this is indefinite integration. In case of definite integration, we have to write only e raised to ax upon a within the limits, and no, the constant of integration c should be written. Second result required, integration from e raised to ax into sin bx dx is equal to e raised to ax upon a square plus b square into bracket a sin bx minus b cos bx plus c. The very similar result, integration from e raised to x into cos bx dx, e raised to x upon a square plus b square into a cos bx plus b sin bx plus constant of integration c, and generalized rule of integration by parts. Integration of u into v dx, where u and v are functions of x, and you are going to decide which function will be treated as first function u and which function will be treated as second function v, as per the Liat rule, Liate. This rule you have studied in 12th standard. So integration u into v dx is equal to u integration v dx minus derivative of u and one more integration of v plus one more derivative of u and one more integration of v minus, you have to continue this procedure up till you get the derivative of u as a constant term. When you get the derivative of u as a constant term, you have to stop at that term only. And observe here, the first term is positive, second term is negative, third term is positive, fourth term is negative. So here in this generalized rule of integration by parts, the terms are alternately positive and negative, but you may get the results after taking the derivative and integration, which will change these signs. This is the first step sign convention for applying the rule of integration by parts. Now we will see some examples. Here the question is surely find the inverse Laplace transform of the following functions by using convolution theorem. In the question paper, if the question is like this, where the method, that is use of convolution theorem, is mentioned, in that case only you have to apply this method. First example, s square upon s square plus a square bracket square. So this is your f bar of s, and first step is you have to write this function as a product of two functions of s. But here, as s upon s square plus a square bracket square is mentioned, so f1 bar of s and f2 bar of s will be same. So f bar of s is splitted as s upon s square plus a square into s upon s square plus a square. So here f1 bar of s and f2 bar of s are same. So there is no need to select the simple function for f2 bar of s. Now this is the first step as per the procedure. The second step is you have to find inverse LT of f1 bar of s. Here this is the standard result for cos AU Laplace transform. So your answer for L inverse of s upon s square plus a square is cos AU. We call this as f1 of u. Similarly, for the second one, you get the same result, cos AU, and here we call it as f2 of u. So here we have completed 3 steps out of the 4 steps which are treated as a procedure to apply convolution theorem to find inverse LT. Now the last and the most important step where we are going to apply convolution theorem. So here you are going to mention that by convolution theorem we have. So you have to first write the generalized statement of this convolution theorem for inverse LT. So L inverse of f bar of s is equal to L inverse of convolution of f1 bar of s into f2 bar of s is equal to integration from 0 to t f1 of u into f2 of t minus u du. Remember, here first function is taken as it is, but the second function is changed. it is written with the variable as t minus u instead of only u. So this is very important change while writing or while applying the convolution theorem. Now we will write the corresponding functions. So here the limits of integration 0 to t will be as it is. f1 of u cos au will be as it is. Now f2 of u is cos of au. In that function you have to change u as t minus u. So here you get the step as, or you get the term as cos of a into t minus u du. So we will first simplify the second term. First term will remain as it is cos au. Here second term is written as cos of at minus au. Here the terms inside the bracket are multiplied by the constant multiplier a. Now this complete term is in the form of cos a into cos b, and we know the result for this product of cos terms. We can write this cos a cos b as 1 by 2 cos of a plus b plus cos of a minus b. Here a is au and b is this complete bracket at minus au. So after applying this trigonometric result, you get the integration in more simplified form as integration from 0 to t 1 by 2 cos of a plus b, with this a and with this b you get it as cos at, and cos of a minus b, for these a and b we get cos of 2au minus at, and you have to perform this integration with respect to u. Here the curly bracket should be completed, it should be closed. Now here we are having the first term which is not having any u term, and we are performing integration with respect to u. So with respect to u, the first term which is containing t will be treated as a constant multiplier. So we can write this integration as 1 by 2 out of the bracket, which is a common multiplier for both the terms, cos at out of integration as it is a constant with respect to u. So you are having only integrand as 1 for the first term integration. For the second term, this cos function is involving u term, so you have to integrate it using the integration formulae. Now integration of 1 with respect to u is u, and integration of cos with respect to u is sine. So you have to apply these standard integration results to get the next step. So 1 by 2 constant multiplier, cos at constant multiplier, integration of 1 is u, and within the limits 0 and t, plus integration of cos is sine, but here it should be sine ax upon a. So here you have to take the derivative of this bracket with respect to u, and the derivative is 2a. So sine of 2au minus at whole divided by 2a is integration of cos of 2au minus at with respect to u, and here the limits of integration are 0 to t again. Now the only part left is you have to put upper limit and the lower limit. So this is the previous step. Now you have to put upper limit as u equal to t and lower limit as u equal to 0. So it gives 1 by 2 cos at multiplier this u with lower limit minus upper limit minus lower limit value t minus 0. 1 by 2a is just a multiplier. Now put here u equal to t, you get sine of 2at minus at, that is simply sine at, minus lower limit u equal to 0. So sine of 0 minus at, that is sine of minus at. But we are having one result for sine of minus theta as minus sine theta. Using that result, we get the next term. Here t minus 0 is t, get multiplied by cos at, 1 upon 2a as it is, sine at first term as it is, and here applying sine of minus theta as minus sine theta, this minus minus becomes plus. So these two terms are very similar now. We can add the two terms. So we get the next step as the first term remains as it is and it becomes 2 sine 80. Now here 2 get cancelled. So we get only 1 upon a sine 80. You can take a outside the bracket. So here you have to multiply this term by a so as to balance the given expression. So we get 1 upon 2a into bracket 80 cos 80 plus sine 80 as the final answer for the inverse of the given function of s using convolution theorem. We will see one more example. Here, to apply the convolution theorem, you should be very perfect to apply the integration formulae, integration results and integration rules. Without integration rules, you cannot solve the example using convolution theorem. Okay. Here f bar of s is 1 upon s square into s plus 1 bracket square. Now you have to write this function as a product of two functions of s whose inversality can be easily obtained. Now see here, 1 upon s square into s plus 1 bracket square can be written as 1 upon s square star or into 1 upon s plus 1 bracket square. As we know that the product of two terms is commutative, means we can change their sequence. So the same term can be written as 1 upon s plus 1 bracket square into 1 upon s square. Why I have applied here the commutativity property of multiplication? Because I want the f2 bar of s simpler than the f1 bar of s. As while applying the convolution theorem, you are going to write f2 of t minus u and not f2 of u. Means we are going to write second function with some complicated variable. So for this reason, we can change the sequence of f1 and f2 so as to get f2 of u more simple. So now the next step, you have to find inversality of f1 bar of s and f2 bar of s. Here 1 upon s plus 1 bracket square. So applying first shifting theorem for inversality, we get e raised to minus u L inverse of 1 upon s square, and finally e raised to minus u into u as f1 of u. Now the second result is one of the standard results. So L inverse of f2 bar of s, that is L inverse of 1 upon s square, it's simply u. This is your second function f2 of u. So here we have completed 3 steps of the procedure. Now you have to apply convolution theorem, and here you have to write its standard result. Now you have to replace this f1 of u by this function and f2 of u with f2 of t minus u variable as t minus u only. So we get here the next step as e raised to minus u into u, which is your first function, and second function is u, it becomes t minus u with this variable. So here the second term is written as t minus u. Now you have to multiply these two brackets so as to get the integration splitted in two terms. So we get here integration from 0 to t e raised to minus u into u, but as t is constant with respect to u, so we can write it outside the integration. And the second term as it is integration from 0 to t e raised to minus u u square du. Now you have to perform the integration. Actually here in both the terms we are having the integrands as the product of two functions of u. So here no doubt you have to apply integration by parts rule in generalized form. So you have to decide the first and second function as per the Lie et rule. Here we know that L stands for logarithmic function, I stands for inverse function, A stands for algebraic functions, T stands for trigonometric functions, and E stands for exponential functions. So we are having in the first term algebraic term u and exponential term e raised to minus u. So this will be your u function and this will be your v function to apply integration by parts rule in generalized form. In the second term, we are having u square as algebraic term and e raised to minus u as exponential term. So this is your u function and this is your v function as per the Liet rule. So now by applying generalized rule of integration by parts, we get this step. T is a multiplier, integration by parts rule, first function, integration of second function, derivative of first function, second integration of second function within the limit 0 to t. The same rule for the second integrand, first function as it is, integration of second function, derivative of first function, integration of second function, one more derivative of first function and one more integration of first function. In both the terms you can observe that here we have concluded applying the rule, generalized rule of integration by parts. Why? Because here we have obtained the derivative as a constant term. So surely the next term will be 0. Remember this. When you are going to apply generalized rule of integration by parts, you have to stop at the term where you get the derivative of function u as a constant term. Now the only part left is to apply or to put upper limit and lower limit. But before that you can simplify the two terms so as to get this simple term. Here t as it is, u into e raised to minus u upon minus 1 means minus u into e raised to minus u. Here minus 1 square is plus 1. So second term in simple form becomes minus e raised to minus u. The same thing for the second curly bracket terms, minus u square e raised to minus u. Here again this is positive. So minus 2u e raised to minus u. But minus 1 cube is minus. So the last term which should be positive, now it becomes minus or negative because of this minus 1 cube. Remember, only while applying the integration by parts rule, the first term is positive, the second term is negative. First term positive, second negative, third positive. But after using the results of derivative and integration, you may get the first term negative, the second term also negative, and here first term negative, second negative, third negative. So the sign conventions are only while applying the rule. After simplifying the terms, you may get the different signs to these terms. Now you have to just put upper limit as t, that is u equal to t, and the lower limit as u equal to 0. Remember, e raised to 0 is always 1. If it is multiplied by u, you will get the answer as 0. But if it is only the single term e raised to minus u, then for u equal to 0, you have to write it as 1. So substituting upper limit and lower limit, you get this step. On simplification or after removing the brackets, you get the terms like this. Here the first term and the fourth term are same with opposite sign, so get cancelled. The second term and the fifth term are similar, so you can add or subtract them. So final result is t e raised to minus t plus 2 e raised to minus t plus 3 as an answer, which is the required inverse Laplace transform of the given function of s 1 upon s square into s plus 1 bracket square. So here While applying the convolution theorem to find inversality, you require the perfect knowledge of all the formulae of integration, all the rules of integrations, and you should have sufficient patience and concentration to get the final answer. Using these two solutions or referring these two solutions, you can solve these examples. Here again the question should be, find the inverse Laplace transform of the following functions using convolution theorem. So first example is s square upon s square plus a square, s square plus b square. You can split this function as s upon a square plus a square and s upon a square plus b square, as the inversality will be cos at and cos bt. Use the required trigonometric results also. Now you may verify the answer for this first example with this given answer. Second example, s square upon a square minus a square bracket square. This example is very similar to the first solved example in this video. Since here s square minus a square term is there in the denominator, you will get the answers or you will get the terms with hyperbolic functions. Remember, a derivative of sine hyperbolic at is a cos at, and integration of sine hyperbolic at is 1 upon a cos hyperbolic at. It is not negative of cos hyperbolic at. So remember, integration of sine hyperbolic at is 1 upon a cos hyperbolic at. Using these hints, you will get the same answer as here given. So go through this video very patiently and try to solve these examples for practice. Thank you for listening patiently.